With the price of propane these days, it'd be nice to have an alternative to heating your water with just propane. And we have such an item here, which is a Hott Rod heating element that can be retrofit into most hot water tanks.
Yeah, now they're only 750 watts, so they're not going to be as powerful as the 1500 watt OEM models, but they will heat the water efficiently enough.
Well, most of the time you have time between showers, and most of the day to just let it heat up. But they do work fairly efficiently, and again, they can't draw too much power because you won't have the capability, especially if you have a 30 amp service. So, well, Bill, you've installed a bunch of these things, and it's not that difficult, but you have to pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah, most of the wires are color coded, so they made that easy enough, but be careful when you install it. It's critical where the thermostat goes. You make sure that you follow the instructions, and you'll be very pleased with the job.
I think we should get started.
You want to get it? Okay.
Let's get one installed. Okay, the first step to getting this Hott Rod heating element is to remove a few items that are in our way here, so we can get to the drain plug. So we're going to start with removing the gas line.
Did you turn the gas off?
I turned the gas off. Did you
great.
turn the water off?
I did. Matter of fact.
Well, let's go for it. We'll remove the gas line, then we're going to take the control valve out and the burner assembly here.
Yeah, because I need to install the Hott Rod assembly into the drain assembly here, and it's kind of just buried back in there, and I've got some wiring to do. It takes a couple of minutes, and it gets this stuff all out of my way.
It's actually better anyway, because once you remove the stuff, at least it's not the best thing in the world for this thing to get wet every time you drain the hot water tank. I mean, you could do it, and everyone does, but you know, if you have an opportunity not to get everything wet, why not take it? Okay.
The circuit board unplugs, and it can only go one way, so it's really not difficult to put it back.
What you can do, though, if you're hesitant whatsoever about how things are going to go back together, just get your video camera or get a digital camera and make a recording of it, and then you'll be able to look back at it when you put everything back together. Okay, we're almost there.
Let me see these real quick. I need to pull.
Okay, Bill, we're going to have to drain this thing. Who gets the honors of doing that?
I don't want to get wet.
I tell you what, I'll flip you for it.
Deal.
Is it a deal?
Heads.
You're going to call it?
Heads.
You win.
Go for it.
So you're going to get a little closer, Bill?
No, I'm leaving.
I figured you
I'm
would.
going that way. But try not to get wet.
Well, I'm pretty good at this. Oh, by the way, make sure that the hot water is cool before you do this.
Great idea.
And the pump is off. And you're not hooked up. Do I have it all down now, Bill, for this? This is the most fun thing that we all get to do.
What, getting wet?
Well, because we're supposed to service these things at least, what, once or twice a year?
Well, yeah, and that's a great idea. If you go to install one of these, why not service the water here at the same time?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here it comes.
Ready?
Okay, let her rip.
Oh, great. These are my new shoes.
Now what are we going to do? Once it drains, we'll get back to work. It won't take long.
No, fortunately, they put a big enough drain in it. You remember the old water heaters where they had that little tiny drain on there? It took about 5 hours to drain them.
Yeah, this works fairly well. As you can see, this thing has actually been kept pretty clean because there's not a lot of sediment coming out of this thing at all.
And not at all. I don't see anything.
No,
actually,
I'm really surprised. This is very clean. Almost everybody, the first time that they've done this, they'll stand in front of it and they'll pull that plug, and they'll be very surprised.
Yeah, I've even had employees in the past. They had white stuff
white
out of the
stuff
water
all over your shirt.
all over them.
Yeah.
All right, so
okay, here we go.
We've got a drain. Now the next step, I'm going to get this out of the way as well. This heat shield here.
I'm going to give you this thing here. You can put this back over here.
Because we're going to drill right in through here, and everything's kind of in the way, so I'm going to go ahead and get this heat shield out of the way too. There's only 2 screws, and it'll make my life a lot easier. There's a ground wire here, so make sure that ground wire gets back on, otherwise it's possible it won't work.
I'll hand you this, Bill.
Okay,
right.
now I'm gonna need to drill a hole here.
We'll put the bigger hole in there on the side of the hot water tank so we can thread the wire from the element. Now, normally there shouldn't be anything on the side of this hot water tank because you have to have clearance, and it's best to get inside first and check it out. We've already done that earlier.
If you hold that, I'll start doing Teflon tape here.
Okay. Actually, give me a little piece of that. I'll put some on this piece here.
So let me just
This element goes into the hot water tank using an adapter. And there are two different adapters. One would be for the Suburban, and the other one would be for the Atwood. And obviously, it's pretty clear once you take it apart. You just follow the size of your plug, and you should have no troubles at all.
And actually, I think the newer Atwoods are using 3/4 inch now as well. So that one of the adapters is half.
This tape. Okay, while you get that adapter
here.
in here, okay,
we'll
just tape up this piece here, and away we go.
Yeah, Teflon tape. You can't live with it. Can't live without it.
All right, try that.
Oh, it looks good. I can do that.
I don't believe there's a torque requirement on the element, but you want to snug it in there, but you don't want to be excessively tight because you might end up breaking the adapter.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy, so I mean, you can kind of feel it.
Yeah.
So I need to aim this. Give me this in here. I really need to aim this so I get a good...
All right, so the wire won't be routed properly. Looks like you're going to have to make another turn with that.
Well, let me see. Let me try it here. Actually, I kind of like that, because then I can go right to there. So, I mean, you can turn this. You can turn this whatever way you want in order to put this, because you can see it's elbowed. So just make sure when you're tightening it, you leave yourself a little bit of room to angle it straight. Well, let me just put that on there and leave it on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we're ready to go.
I think maybe we'll put everything back together here, and then we'll just fish it through and do the inside.
Actually, you know, I think I could fish it through from right here. Might be able to get it to go through. Where's the... And hopefully I can reach back in there. If I can reach back in there, I know it's going to be snug with that wall, but if I can reach in there, it'll work out perfect.
Yeah, there should be enough clearance in there.
I know one thing I'm going to find out.
You can use that piece of conduit there to keep the wires from fraying against the sharp edges of the wall of the hot water tank.
Yeah, if you're not comfortable with this or you lose it, putty tape will work. You have to have something though, because it's really
very sharp there.
It's very sharp.
Once you cut that hole there, that metal's very sharp.
Yeah, so is that. I felt it. It just cut right.
It'll
through
cut your fingers really, really easily.
Okay, so we're pretty much ready to go inside and finish it off in there. You want to do that?
We can, or we can put back the pieces in here and finish it off inside.
Well, let's wait and make sure everything fits perfect. I may have to pull it back out.
Well, that's a good point. Okay, let's go inside and get her put together. Hey, Bill, wait till you see what I got off the local tool truck.
Oh, nice bucket.
Oh man, this is more than just a bucket. Okay, this is a multi-purpose tool. Okay, so I've got all the parts we're going to need here to work on this installation, right? So this becomes a catch-all for all this stuff.
And then now what are you going to?
Now the best part is, since I'm going to have the cushy part of this job, I have a seat. Now get to work.
I want a seat.
Oh no, I get to sit. You're working.
Okay, all right.
So we're going to remove this access panel here so we can see the hot water tank, right?
Yeah, so we can gain access to the back of it. We've already fed that one wire through, so.
And I'll tell you what, it looks like, whoa, we really drew some pretty good cards here, because we have terrific access here, and sometimes it can be really, really tough to get to, but this is beautiful. And guess what? Look what we got over there.
Yeah, there's already an outlet in here. We don't have to install a J-box. And look at that. I pushed that wire through. And
man, we must be living right today, Bill.
So we don't have to install a J-box, but why don't you explain to them? I'll start cutting a little access
Okay.
panel here. Maybe you could explain to them.
Okay, Bill, you're going to cut the space into that foam there so we can put the thermostat, and that sticks right to the tank.
Yeah, why don't you explain to them while I do this,
Okay.
if they don't have an outlet here, the different scenarios and what they have to do.
Okay, what's going to have to happen here if there's not an outlet in here, and if this thing's not set up for a hot water tank that works also on 120 volts of AC, you're going to have to bring power to the hot water tank so you can hook in, and right to the side of Bill there, you see the connector there, there's a plug, and you'll have to plug that in somehow. So the way to do that, the proper way to do that, is to get yourself some Romex in a J box here, and of course you'll need an outlet receptacle here, and with a plate, depending on where you put it. So what you'll do is you'll have to find a location where you can actually connect or tap into 120 volt AC power. Now that could be, who knows, that could be 2 feet away, it could be a foot away, it could be anywhere in the rig. The other way that you can do this is to go ahead and use an extension cord if you have clear access, so you can route an extension cord from that connector, the pigtail connector there, to an outlet someplace, either under the compartment or someplace where it won't be seen. Now this is a pretty stout extension cord. You don't want to use one of those lightweight extension cords, and quite frankly, that's not the preferred way to do this. If by chance you're close to your converter, you can wire directly into it. And like I said earlier, that if you don't have that opportunity, the best thing to do is to just get yourself some Romex and the appropriate parts like this J box, and just go find a location where you can tap into. Most times, if the hot water tank is anywhere near the kitchen, you're going to find an outlet pretty close, but sometimes you have to chase it. But again, it's just a matter of routing the Romex cable and make sure that you secure it properly. So Bill, you got that down there yet?
I'm just about. I got this thing cut out. I'm going to clean the back of the tank with this alcohol pad they supply. Make sure there's no grease or anything on there. So in the meantime, I've put the wires together here. These are really plug and play. You can see these are both white here. They're both green. You can't make a mistake. And these go on either side of the thermostat. So
and that's pretty clearly marked on the thermostat too, if I recall.
Yeah, you can see one of these wires has a blue end on it, and there's a blue stripe where it goes, and then the red goes the only other place it can go. So let me peel this off here. Yeah, that was pretty good. I actually cut it off.
Well, that's a nice hole that you put in there. Is there a setup time for that, or is that just going
No, it
to
just
set immediately?
sticks immediately.
Isn't it great to be the supervisor here, to just be able to say, oh, hey, move it over a little bit to the left or the right?
Man, I wouldn't know.
Okay. Well, I don't know about that tape there.
Well, it is possible that he may have to hold it in place.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's some setup time.
Yeah, it is not cooperating at all.
It is not cooperating there.
But let me get it back together. Let me just get it together, and while we're
we're pretty much finished. If you get that to stick, all we got to do now is plug it in, and we're pretty much done and secure the wires.
Yeah, pretty much. Except
it's a pretty simple installation, although again you got to follow the directions, and there's only one way to do it, and so you can't vary from the instructions here. But I can see that's a little bit on the problematic side here. I'm not sure why that tape is not holding it. It could be that there's a defective tape, or maybe there's something got on the. But of course, you use the alcohol prep pad to clean off the tank first. So
we could always put a little bit of sealer and hold it into place or something like that. But I think that you get the idea.
Yeah.
And this is a red reset button right here. So any kind of a problem with it, this thing's actually going to trip off. So there's a little bit of a hole in the cover plate here. This covers up the wires so you can't get electrocuted. Make sure that fits over.
Yeah, that's just snaps into place there.
Yeah. That just snaps right into place. Make sure that the wires aren't tangled up with anything.
you have a cable tie there that you can put it together with? Or?
You know what, I do not.
No,
but
I'm sure we can go later and do that.
Yeah, a little bit later on we'll go tie those up.
So we just plug her in?
Yeah, we're lucky. We're going to plug it right in here. Now, do not turn this on. Don't put power to this. If you have power to this outlet, unplug the trailer before you ever attempt this, especially if you're going to put in a J-box. If you put power to this element without water in the tank, it's going to burn the element out. So we're pretty much set here. Well, we're going to have to make this thing stick somehow. We'll take care of that later. We're going to put water to it, put the propane back together, put the gas valve back in, and we'll give it a test. Well, now what's with the bucket?
Hey man, Bill, this is a great piece of equipment. And you know what? I told you I got off the tool truck, you got to use it. But really what it's for, if you take too long putting this back together,
You're going to sit back down and relax?
I'm going to need something to sit on.
I better
Okay,
hurry.
so I think you're going to have to get moving here. Anyway, so we're just going to put everything back together.
Yeah, just piece by piece, and if you took a picture, it makes it a little bit easier.
There you go. I don't suppose this is going to be too difficult after you've done, what, about 1,000 of these?
No, I could probably do it in my sleeve by now.
Yeah.
Oh.
So once we get this thing back together, we're gonna do a few tests and put a little water in it and make sure that it works.
Yeah, I think we'll be back in business, and I did open up the pressure relief valve so that we could drain it. So while I'm here, I'm going to make sure I shut it. Once we put water to it, we're going to actually open the hot side of the galley so it can purge the air through there.
You have to restore the airspace to the top of the tank. In order to do that, you have to do it exactly what Bill said. You have to open up the hot side of a faucet while the water's being filled, while the tank's being filled up with water. What that does is it leaves a place up at the top of the tank that'd be in airspace, so the water is stopped to a certain point here. And that, if you didn't do that, what will happen is that the pressure relief valve will weep on you. And what happens is many people think that that valve is bad and they send it back to the manufacturer when in fact 75 to 80% of those that get sent back to the manufacturer are really not defective. It's just that the air pressure was not restored properly at the top of the tank. So Bill, you got the, let's see, you get the circuit board back in there.
Yeah, I'm on it.
All right. I'm not on my bucket yet, but I'm getting pretty close.
Getting close, okay,
I'm getting pretty close. You know, I mean, you know, after all these years doing this, you know, you can just stand so long. Okay.
You can do it, Bob.
Okay, I think I can hang in there.
You can hang in there.
Yeah. Okay. Put that in there. Okay. Actually, for the amount of work that I'm doing here, I could probably sit on this bucket and be comfortable.
Yeah, but that's not fair.
I know. I'm just doing it in respect for you because you have to stand and bend over, and I can't sit on my cushy bucket here.
And last but not least, do not forget to tighten the gas line.
Okay. Well, once you get that connected, I'm going to go ahead and turn the gas on.
I'm ready.
Okay, ready? I'll go turn the gas on, and then we're going to test it.
Check for leaks.
Okay.
Always check for leaks. It can be very dangerous. Even though it didn't leak before you took it apart, you just never know.
Okay, Bill, gas is on.
Gas is on.
Yeah. I'm going to check it for leaks. Now,
they have solutions specifically for testing for leaks. It's probably better to use that. I don't have any right now, so we're just going to use a little soapy water and a paintbrush.
yeah. And keep in mind that the absolute perfect way to do this is to have a pressure drop-down test performed by your dealer. And that should be done at least once a year anyway. But anytime you break the system open, from the propane system open, you want to perform a pressure drop-down test to make sure that there are no leaks. But the second best thing is to check it exactly the way Bill's doing it and check to make sure there's no bubbles. And I can see that we don't have any bubbles here.
Yeah, I'm going to wipe this off because it is kind of sticky and slippery.
And then in that case, I think we're in pretty good shape. But again, a pressure drop-down test is always in order. And even if you don't bust your system open at all, it's best to do it at least once a year. And any dealer can do it, and it's not very expensive. I think in your days, what did you charge for something like that, Bill?
Usually it was just a half-hour
half-hour minimum. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, that half-hour minimum is well worth the money.
Yeah, it's well worth your life and all your possessions in your RV. So I'm done.
We're
We
ready to
can,
go?
yeah, we can close this thing up.
Just go
And,
get some water in it and
yep.
and then plug her back in and
Put some
and-
water
and have hot water.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Good job.
And we can go take a shower.